Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lizzie, and for today's video, we are discussing the Hocus Pocus sequel. So if you do not know, this is now up and available to watch on Disney Plus. And I was so super excited to watch this movie. I had done a trailer reaction, and I was just so excited for us to have like the original 3 members of the cast back and kind of this new introduction with new characters and things. There had been teasing about there being a sequel to this film for a really long time, so I was excited that we were finally getting it, and it looked like it was going to be just as fun and goofy as the original, and it definitely is. I know my tone is kind of saying differently. It was definitely a fun and goofy film. There were definitely parts that I quite enjoyed of it. It was definitely a little bit more kind of musical than I feel like the original one was. Like, the original has obviously that big musical moment where they're like serenading the crowd, and we have another similar scene in this one. It's more of like a flash mob style, and you do have Sarah's song a little bit in the film. And that's actually where I got like the most excited when this film started, because you kind of hear it pretty early on, but you never really, she doesn't have like her full moment of singing it, which I think was also kind of like a little bit disappointing. They kind of just cheesed a little bit, and I did like how the film opened, because it opens kind of similarly to the way the original one does, where we have a flashback sequence, but this one is more just focused on the Sanderson sisters and gives us kind of a history behind how they got to where they were, basically, with becoming witches and things like that, which I really liked. This film does give them a bit of a sympathetic side throughout it. They are still very much themselves and hunting children. It does try to lean into giving a little bit more sympathy for them as well, which was okay, and maybe kind of a good thing for the sense of like witches. But I think where this film went a little wrong, I guess, for me, was the feeling of it being too much like newer Disney, which I understand obviously makes sense, and that's the route that they're gonna go, and that's kind of what you have to expect going into this film, because like I said, it's more musical numbers. It's just a little bit more cheesy throughout, and if you've kind of watched anything newer from Disney over the last several years, I feel like you'll kind of get where I'm going, where it's just a little bit too cheesy. I feel like the original Hocus Pocus, while fun and funny at times, still felt like it had a bit of a darker tone to it, and that's maybe just seeing it as a kid and it, like, you know, kind of freaking us out as kids, and the stakes, I guess, feeling higher when you're a child, maybe. So maybe if I had watched this as a child, I would have still felt that way, and maybe anybody who watches this with kids can let me know how they felt about it, you know, maybe how your kid felt watching it, because I don't have kids to watch it with, so maybe it's just different when you're little, and maybe I'm just too grown up for it now. But I mean, I still recently rewatched the original Hocus Pocus, and I still love it just as much as I did as a kid, and maybe that's just a sense of nostalgia, because I enjoyed it, but I just didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping for, and I was kind of hoping for the return of more characters, like more original characters. I was hoping for maybe Max or Danny or even Allison, like any of those characters to kind of make even just the smallest appearance in the film. Maybe somebody as like a teacher or someone to kind of help the new generation of kids, and that didn't happen, which was also just kind of additionally disappointing. We do have the return of Billy Butcherson, played by the same actor that played him in the original. He talks a lot more in this one. He like really has the full characterness of this. They do make a joke, which is in the trailer, where he says like, because the character is running away from him, and he says, like, I'm a good zombie, which is what Max calls him in the original, which I loved, and there's definitely little nods to that throughout there. There's nods to character costumes from the original. At one point in the kind of flash mob scene that I mentioned before, we do see a character who's dressed in the Madonna costume that Max and Danny's mom wearing Halloween night in the original. So there are little definite nods here and there throughout the film to the original, which is always good. And I think maybe if I give it a second try to watch it again, maybe I'll feel differently. Maybe it's the fact that I had just recently rewatched the original that possibly affected it as well. But I do like these new characters that are introduced, and I do still think that it was a fun film. I didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping. I think I gave it like maybe 3.5 stars on Letterboxd, and I was hoping to be able to give it like a full 5 stars, but that's okay. So if you've watched Hocus Pocus 2, let me know what your thoughts are on it. Did you enjoy it or not? Let me know all of that in the comments below, and I hope that you did enjoy this review. If you did, please do give it a big old thumbs up, and make sure you hit that subscribe button for more spooky related content. I will see you all again later with another video. Bye!